We're learning to code today, and we feel good about what we are coding, and we feel good about code in general, right? Maybe, I don't know. Um, we're learning to code. We're gonna go to our week project based off of the results of our democratic ranked voting poll. What should we work on this week? We had options. We had template farm. We had group boycott list. We had continue maintaining the resource site, which is a project in and of itself, and a multiverse product hunt. What won was this template farm tool. We only had 5 votes. So, as much as we all talk about how much we love democracy, only 5 of you turned up for it. So, no, I'm just kidding. But seriously, you can vote on what we work on. This is a democratized class, right? It's interactive in that element. A template farm, a tool that sets up project templates on your machine based on spec. Because I feel like yesterday, and if you're watching from the YouTube link, under me, I put the quote of what we do. We are building systems that transform inputs into outputs for a specific purpose, right? That is what we do as coders. That is what we do as developers. That is what we do as problem solvers, as critical thinkers, as community members, as solar punks, all of that stuff, right? So we are building systems that transform inputs into outputs for a specific purpose. And yesterday we talked a lot about just like working on your personal project in order to learn to code. That's my ethos, right? That our ethos. That's my opinion and perspective. And I wanted to kind of uh also at the same time provide some foundational knowledge of code. I think that this template farm, it was my suggestion and it won. It was my suggestion because I feel like there's this spectrum of wanting everybody to work on their personal projects and just go anywhere, learn from there, which to some people is a very vague ask, right? And people want to learn to code. And a huge blocker to getting up and running with code is just basic stuff, setting up your machine, understanding how VS Code works, right? Understanding what project files are necessary, what installs you need to make, right? Are you working on Mac? Are you working on Linux? Are you working on Windows, right? Uh, you know, thinking about sort of the project template. And so I had this idea for a template farm, a tool that sets up project templates on your machine based on specs. Um, we use Claude in this class. We use AI as an assistant to help us build code. So learning to code, the foundations of it, the way I choose to teach it is not the memorization of syntax. Blah. We're getting off of this memorization of syntax, right? We are here to learn how to specify systems clearly enough so that the code can be generated, that code can be evaluated, and then you can improve on it, right? So, little a little discussion prompt. We're all working on our personal projects, or maybe we're not, right? But most of us have used Claude or ChatGPT or some form of AI in our coding practice. A question for the class: you can mic up, you can answer in the box. When your AI assistant gives you bad code, what, from your perspective, what do you feel is wrong? The code itself or your prompting? And this is, maybe a little bit of a not a trick question, but it's I want to get your thoughts on this. When Claude or your AI of choice gives you bad code, what do you think is actually wrong? The code or your prompt? That's my prompting. I will always realize when I said something wrong, said somebody in the chat, prompt again in the chat. I would say yes. However, the part that's in your locus of control is your prompt, the parameters. Ooh, love that. Locus of control. Yeah, we're getting neurodivergent strategies on this. LeJoie teaches a class later today that y'all should take part in. Locus of control is your prompt, the parameters. Mostly my prompting. However, these are cases where AI misuse. There are cases where AI misuse some code. Prompt, I think the prompt, but I haven't used AI to code much. Yeah. Locusts of control. Yes, Easter. Locus of control. What do you have control over in this situation where you're prompting AI to help you code? You have control over the prompt. And I think it's just good practice as a human to have an internal locus of control with the things that you can control, right? That's when this sort of emotional dysregulation starts to happen with the AI. And from talks we've had in job stand up, we have scientists who are figuring out in job stand up that you can talk with in the hour that precedes this, that are figuring out that emotional dysregulation causes the AI to become somewhat misaligned in the responses that it's providing, right? So, in this sense of like emotional regulation or kind of semantic homeostasis, whatever you want to call it, when you have control over that prompt and your prompt is not regulated or it's not clear, you're more likely to get the sort of feedback from the code that kind of shuts you down, puts a blocker on your project. So again, we're here to learn how to specify the systems clearly enough so that the code can be generated, evaluated, and improved. This becomes one of those meta cognitive projects that I talk about yesterday, being sort of this like black hole project because we can get really heady about it. We're building a template farm, right? We're building a project that should help people build projects. And that can sometimes lead to a little bit of confusion. But we chose this one specifically, and I'm glad that this one was the one that was voted for. I suggested it specifically because it is a complex idea to describe to Claude, to kind of build out a system for, even without the use of AI. And it is something that can help teach us how to set up the fundamental parts of our project while also providing this idea that programming, coding is becoming specification. It's becoming learning how to clearly specify your systems, how to clearly explain the systems that you're trying to build. So it's this specification and then verification loop. Even when you're not using an AI agent to help with your code, these skills of specification, clarity, and verification and analysis of the program, whether it was done by a team, done by AI, or even done by a past version of yourself. These are becoming more and more important in the current state of tech, right? So instead of writing the specifications now, we write a prompt to Claude when we're using Claude, and we've used OpenSpec in this class before, right? So let's sort of just like I'll walk through my process for starting a Claude code, or not a Claude code, but yeah, a Claude project within VS Code. And let's just start working on this thing. So it's a template farm. It's a tool that sets up project templates on your machine based on spec. Uh, Feel free to share your ideas in the chat of what this should be, because we're about to sort of brain dump the activity of writing of writing this spec. So when I'm about to embark on a project, such as this, I generally start by opening up VS Code, right? This is VS Code. These were notes from yesterday. So uh, you can open up a new folder, and then we'll make a new folder, and we'll call this template farm. Template farm. I don't know why I put the underscore there. Maybe that's my naming convention for this project. I'm not going to save that. And so this opens your default VS Code sort of the setup right here. I never use this chat. I never use that, so I'll close that. I usually start by uh, opening a terminal window. So, new terminal. I still haven't figured this out, and I need to do something about it. But Claude is on WSL on my computer. It's not on PowerShell. So if you're on Windows, maybe your Claude lives in your PowerShell. If you haven't installed Claude yet, you could search for Claude terminal install. So I'll put this link in the. Oh wow, this is taking a while. Ba, 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 ba. Quick start Claude Code docs. All right, so you can go to this documentation link. Depending on your machine, you're going to want to look for, how to install it on Mac or Linux. It's a curl function. If you don't have curl, you might need to sudo apt get curl. Windows PowerShell, it's this call. I haven't done that. I did the curl. And so then you'll be walked through installing Claude onto your machine. And when you run Claude, the first thing it will do is authorize your account, right? So it'll open a window, and then you can log in to the email that you use with Claude. And next time you run Claude, it will open your terminal prompt to your account, right? So uh, I run Claude with this flag of dangerously skip permissions because we got a quick class. It's an hour long. We got to go bam, 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 bam. It's going to ask me if I trust this folder. Yes, I trust this folder. If you run it without that skip permissions flag, it'll ask you every time it's like opening a new folder or writing to a new folder. And generally, I set up sandboxed folders, which I'm okay with Claude having access to the things in that folder because we are working on coding in that folder. So what we're building this template farm. This template farm. What is a template farm? Well, let's think about what a template farm is. We do this all the time in class, right? We have a project in mind. We get so excited about building it, and then I have to basically prompt Claude to set up an entirely new project every time. What if Claude goes down? What if I what how did we set up projects before using Claude, right? it used to be a stressful, very stressful process, where you would basically have like uh, templates on your computer. Uh, you kind of memorize the commands that you need to run. You'd have README. You'd have documentation. You know, there'd be some sort of version mismatch between different frameworks that you were installing. Rinse and repeat, and it's just to kind of have the one stop shop of making a template. Like this is why sort of applications like Replit were so awesome when they first came out, and why they're not like, I mean, people still use Replit, but uh people don't need Replit as the sort of like destination template setup for projects anymore. It was great for people who were learning to code because they didn't need to make sure that all of the right specifications were installed on their computer just to run like a simple Python program, right? But now with Claude, you can get your machine up and running with the right tools fairly quickly. That being said, not everybody has access to Claude, and uh, you know, spending tokens on setting up your project every time when you already have the template in mind is an important sort of process to automate, right? And it is a process that we can automate, and it can help us learn how to have that foundational setup on our machine, so that part of our dev workflow is clear to us. The setup of the project is probably the most important part of the process, and it's something that we get hung up on, because when we don't know how to set up a project, we get in this mindset of like, oh, I didn't even, I don't even know how, I don't even know what code the project runs on. I just had Claude write it for me. I don't know what files or what. I don't know. So anyways, it's about having clarity in the foundation of your setup, which I know kind of seems weird because yesterday we were like, just do the project, get the project out the door, and now we're like, we should know how to set up projects, right? But yeah, it's the foundational part of a project. So defining the tool, right? Um, and cool. So people made some pull requests to resource, I see, and somebody's in meetings, but they're distracting themselves with the YouTube. That's cool. Awesome. uh well set up means earlier deployment. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if your project compiles, it just means you can get out the door testing the thing and building the thing like that actually solves the problem statement that is what your system is, right? So we are building systems that transform inputs into outputs for a specific purpose. What is the input in this template farm that we're building? Uh, does anybody want to answer? Feel free to mic up in the room. So what is the input? Input. Oh wow, my handwriting is input. What is the input of this template farm? Are people typing? I can't see the chat, I don't think. Maybe I need to rejoin the campus room. Um, I'm gonna rejoin the campus room real quick. All right, but we're still watching the YouTube, and I'm gonna ask that question one more time. What is the input of the template farm that we're building? And also, I'll share the stream link because it might be easier to watch from there for some of you. Stream link. And all right, so we're building this template farm. What would the input be? See if I can even see what comes into the chat on Multiverse Campus. All right, I still haven't understood what a template farm is. All right.
Is it like a textual description of a programming project? I haven't looked at the description of the template farm thing yet, so I don't know what this is about.
This is what we can figure out while we're working on it today. In my head, what the template farm would be is like you're a coder and you have an idea and you go to the template farm and it basically sets up the foundation for your project so then you could start coding on it with all the right uh, sort of project specifications um, and like frameworks for that. Somebody says, where are we supposed to be casting our votes? Not seeing anything to interact with. We've already voted. The poll ended before class today. And then somebody says, I'm a novice in many ways, but I think I'd want to have Claude dredge my existing projects and plan a template farm based on the kinds of projects I do. It's just a playing field, right? Prima mater. All right, we're getting heady with it. What is the input? The input of the template farm. All right, I am a user, right? I see this wonderful application with really cool design, template farm made by the Multiverse School. I open up the template farm. What, as a user, am I inputting to the template farm? Remember, no wrong answers. We're building this project together. So maybe your answer for input is different than what I have in my head right now. And that's what we're going to end up building, right?
It would be a detailed description of the project you want to do,
Ding, 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 ding,
right?
ding. Yes, yes. That's good input, right? Um, that's what I was thinking.
And
Uh,
the more detail you give, the better the better template it creates, like creating a Python function.
Yeah, so you come here to the project, user, the user, uh, and they have this. This is so. I don't need to draw this, but they have uh, an idea for a project, right? Um, and then our application does some things. Template
Black
farm.
box.
Yeah, our application does some things, and bop 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 bop, and then what is the output?
But you need to fill up to create the project properly.
Would it be a list of that stuff? Would it be the actual template for the project? Would it be a project file that's like the foundation for the project? These are all things that we can kind of figure out right now as we're setting up the template of the template farm, so to speak.
Well, it could work depending on your expertise, because a more technical person would prefer to, use a specific programming language, or you be or someone has more eye for a certain type of detail and someone has more like of a general idea of what they want, but is not so bothered about certain details. So you could manage that in the idea, in the input of the idea, like, or in the template format before you input it, as parameters.
Yeah, parameters. Yeah, so that's kind of what I was thinking of too. Is like, so um, we input the idea um, as like, so so the idea for the project, because the template farm can't just be Claude code, right? Like otherwise it would just be, you'd point your users towards
Yeah.
using Claude code, you'd set up some sort of Claude API, right? So the output as a template, like a project file that maybe the user can download and set up on their machine, would be great, right? But going back to the input, an idea is hard to take as input, right? Like a short description of what they're building, that's hard input to take in and do something to, without the use of like a Claude API or another LLM on top of it, right? We could use Claude API within this program. We could use AI API and LLM API within this program to decipher what people's projects inputs or we could set up something like a Mad Libs of parameters, so like maybe our input is, we take the project statement that we have, like we are building systems that transform inputs into outputs for a specific purpose, and we have people define what the input and the output of their project is, or yeah, somebody says the MVP of the project, the minimum viable product. So somebody says it might be good to focus in on a slice of this kind of thing, like what our MVP template farm workflow is. Like, say, the ability to output a snippet of JS or a piece of pseudocode or something, with the idea of using this to build out the other outputs we eventually want it to be to flexibly do. Is brain grid the same as template farm? Brain grid. What is that? The product planner that helps you shape ideas and scope tasks. Uh, oops. Build like a top AI developer. Ooh. AI product planner that helps you shape ideas, plan features, and scope tasks that your AI coding tools can build right the first time. Maybe. I haven't used this before. So I can't say whether or not that is it's so the thing is, like, I want to get off of the mindset of this thing's going to develop the product for people. Um, it's not. It's going to develop the foundations for the product so that you can code it. It's not even going to develop the foundations, right? It's going to have sort of like a pick and choose like answer of a template for people. Yeah, yeah. So somebody in the chat says, I'd be wary that that thing is going to scrape your ideas, to be honest. And that's something to keep in mind when vibe coding in general. Uh, Specifically, I would watch out with using ChatGPT right now. You're sharing your ideas with Sam Altman, and that is a horrible, horrible person to be sharing your ideas with, right? Uh, this too, right? This is something to keep in mind. Like, when you have your great application, idea, uh, taking it to AI does in a way like compromise that idea to a degree, right? Uh, we can go the paranoid route where people that build on ChatGPT, developers who have built on ChatGPT, have had their essentially AI wrapper applications completely stolen by ChatGPT. There's like dozens of documented companies who go out of business because of this in the last couple months. Or we can go the, more uh, intelligently skeptical, nonchalant version where it's like, uh, this is why we're in a learn to code class, is so that we can keep uh, what is valuable to us secure in a way that aligns with our ethics, right? Um, because there's nothing saying that if you describe the feature of the thing you want to build, that, and no offense to Brain Grid, because I know it's on the screen right now, so if anybody from Brain Grid is watching this, like, um, if anyone from Claude is watching this, if anyone from ChatGPT is watching this, don't steal people's ideas. They're like, what? It's like, come on, uh you don't own the ideas just because people are prompting them. It's like, anyways, uh all that aside, we talked about section 230, we talked about ownership of ideas. We're in the wild west of a lot of this stuff, so we got to take it with a grain of salt. Even my perspective is extremely biased on this, so I wouldn't. So, anyways, yeah, Brain Grid, sort of like what we're doing, but not so much what we're doing. And that kind of leads me to the next point of something that our application should do as the template farm is it should be community oriented. It should be open source. It shouldn't steal people's data, right? Right? So, how do we do that, right? It's something to think about. And there's you can get into the semantics difference between like stealing data or uh, just what I mean by that is the misuse of people's data, or the selling of people's data is not what we're interested in when we're building this app. From the ethos of Template Farm, we want people to more easily set up their projects. We want to make coding more accessible to people. And so it's less about developing their idea for them, and it's more about getting people up and running with the program stack that they need in order to start their project. In that communal mindset, maybe that's part of the template farm, right? Is the community in and of itself. And so if you have a project that is similar to another user's project, and they have like a verified template that they use to set up their project, then you might be routed to that person's template farm, right? Maybe this become maybe the GUI is like almost like Stardew Valley-esque or something. Anyways, you're getting my ideas flowing now on this, and I'm sorry that if it kind of feels tangential, and I know we haven't even touched the code yet, so let's just brain dump on Claude. Okay, Claude, we are going to build a template farm app. The template farm app is a fun, stylized Stardew Valley-esque community application wherein users as developers are come to the app with a system in mind that they are trying to build. They can put in a description of the project that they are trying to build, and then they are given a program stack, a template, the foundational stuffs that make a project and how to compile it on their machine, um, as the output of the project. We want it to be a lighthearted, communal energy, uh, like Stardew Valley. Can I say Stardew Valley? Is that like every time I'm saying that? Am I like all right. Anyways, yeah, I caught that last part of it. We'll see what Claude has to say about this because my description is bad. Got it. A Stardew Valley vibe template farm where devs describe a project and harvest a ready to go stack and scaffold and build instructions. So now it's giving me words that
Job is done.
I didn't really have when I was describing. Uh, yes, a yayo man. What's a yayo man? I've never seen that before. Yayo man. Uh, yayo man tech. I don't know what yayo man means. Somebody's gonna have to explain to me what that means. But yeah, those things like npx create react app. Yes, we want it to basically you'd be like template farm create dog walking app, and then it would connect to your account and basically set up that template on your machine or whatever. Yeah, no, when I look up yayo man, uh this is what I get. The like royal guards. So I don't know. Anyways, you're distracting me, guys. Come on. All right, before I start scaffolding, a few quick
One of
decisions.
those was a GitHub profile.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. A few quick decisions so I build the right thing. Stack preference. My default would be Next.js on. All right, so this is the stack for the program. What is a stack? A stack is the collection of programs, languages that you use to build your project, right? So my default would be Next.js 16, on Vercel, AI SDK, AI Gateway for the describe your project, get a stack generation, Tailwind and Shad CN, UI theme, Pixel, Cozy, Neon, Postgres for the community side. That's okay, but I feel like the spend on AI will be pretty extreme. I want to kind of take it out of the user just prompting an AI and getting a template back, and I want it to be more of a community thing. Uh, so instead of it being an AI, if we could have uh, source data on the site to kind of automate the response, and then once people start using the site, we'd have data from users that we'd be able to seed as similar templates. I don't really know how to do this actually. I need your help, Claude. All right, and then two, scope for V1. Which of these do you want in the first pass? Input form. Two, we want the input form. It's going on this like AI generation route, which it seems like the class was on too. So maybe that was my uh, me lacking clarity in describing what I thought with the template farm sort of setup. That being said, if people think that this is an AI application, maybe we do work the AI API into it. I think that what is going to happen with a project of this size, where people are sending in project ideas to an AI, that API is going to get used immediately. And building an AI wrapper project is just like, it's an important thing to learn. Um, Seeing how fast your token spend goes when you make it open to a community of unknown sizes is also, I mean, it's an okay lesson, but we could imagine what that feels like on our wallets. Um, so I want to kind of like pivot from the setting up this AI template maker, right? Um, we want the input form. Still skeptical about AI spend for a project of this scope and unknown user scale. Um, B, community layer. Browse other farms. Yes. B, I like this too. We should do this.
Neek,
Yes.
what about if the output is like a recipe?
Yeah.
Not
Uh,
not like literally like a recipe, but or like a cookbook, but like it gives you step by step what to do. Like if you word it like that, maybe it shifts from the AI make me the project to explain how I make the project.
well, the recipe. So at any rate, like taking in people's input and the AI reading it and then writing a response has a spend that's associated with it. So whether it's a recipe, whether it's a program, whether it's a template file, we're still using tokens on that. And it's, I don't know, like I feel like it's still it might not be the best use case for like us learning to code is building an AI wrapper project. But I do think that's a good idea, is having it like be a recipe as opposed to like a template walking the user through setting up something on their machine. Um, da, da, da. All right, B, like these ideas, visual vibe, pixel art. And yes, you can say it, so we just won't copy there. My recommendation, hybrid templates. All right. And then I'm just curious about the AI spend on this. Is if it were giving back a recipe as opposed to a if it were giving back instruction as opposed to actual project files, would that be cheaper on token spend? Um, can you run some benchmarks for what this would look like using Claude API having 5 users, uh, 10 users, 50 users, 100 users, 1,000 users? Thank you. And so just doing like a little bit of like benchmarking there. Claude's gonna make educated guesses. It's not the best at figuring that out, but it is good to know. And sometimes, it's kind of, we'll know it when we see it and put it into use. But yeah, we did this with the executive function app, Pedro, a couple weeks ago, where we did connect Claude API to it. Maybe this is also something where we walk the user through connecting their API to the template farm as well. So uh, we'll see. So now it's going. GrabCAD. Upload and share your created templates like GrabCAD. What is GrabCAD?
Job is done.
All right, yeah. So you're right. I forget who was saying that. Was that Gabby? Recipes are cheaper than the actual files for the project. Um, and then also using Haiku, Sonnet, or Opus. But again, take the Claude benchmarking with a grain of salt on this. And there might be a cheaper AI API to use. Um, so the assumption is 3 generations per user per month. Prices are per 1 million tokens. Recipe output, stack name, 10 shell commands, full project files.
Job
All
is
right.
done.
We haven't built the thing because we're paranoid about spending money on the thing. So this is like where my sort of like stress anxiety brain gets like stuck on projects, right? Is like, why build the thing if it's going to cost me money? But look at this, right? With the recipe situation and Haiku 4.5, we could have 1,000 users, generate 3 project recipes a month, and that would be uh, $10.50, right? At 3 generations per user per month, that's a $10.50 spend
Can I ask
with
a question?
per user with Haiku, right? So, um, maybe Claude's being like very friendly with that, but I feel like if we built something that had 1,000 users, if we built something in this class that had 100 users, that would be really cool. So we'll see. Are other people lagging in the campus? Should I refresh? Should I refresh the campus? Want to make sure I'm not lagging for yous. All right.
I see everything good and hear you good too.
Wonderful. So recipe format's 15 times cheaper than generating files. Your instinct is right. Haiku 4.5 is fine for this task. It's a massing classification job, not frontier reasoning. At 1,000 users, recipe blah 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 blah. That's nothing. Files Opus. All right. So sometimes Claude asks questions in UI mode. Sometimes uh Claude asks questions in just 1, 2, 3 in the terminal. I like it when it does it in UI mode. If it has more than 4 questions, it defaults to asking them like this, which it's kind of hard to scroll through and then go to the console. Just a little ease of use thing. You can ask Claude, hey, can you ask me these questions in UI mode? Hey, can you ask me these questions in UI mode?
I want to ask a question.
Yes. What was your question?
Well, in the chat, she asked about whether we could ask before unmiking, I
Me?
guess. Well,
Job
in
is
the chat,
done.
she asked about whether we could ask before unmiking, I guess. Well,
Job
in
is
the
done.
chat, she asked about whether we could
Oh wow.
ask before unmiking, I guess. Oh no. Well,
Job is
in the
done.
chat, she asked about
I'm
whether we
sorry.
could
Oh wow.
ask before unmiking, I guess.
I'm getting like weird feedback. It's looping. Sorry. Let me see. All right, November, you had a question? Oh my gosh. Yeah, if because we could also, if you go to the YouTube stream and ask in the chat there, I'll respond. So in the YouTube, we could also, if you go to, oh wow. All right. Sorry, I have to mute the campus room now. I'm sorry. Anyways, November, if you wanted to ask that question in the chat, I'm so sorry. Somebody's like has their speakers on and it's coming back through the campus room, so mics are gonna be off for a second. It's it's not you. It's not me either. It's the internet. Is tech is weird, right? But if you ask it in the chat in the campus, I'll answer that. If you ask it in the chat in the YouTube, I'll answer there. So, we're in UI mode with Claude, right? It's easier for me to answer questions this way, right? So, does the community seated architecture, curated template library, and keyword matching optional haiku fallback match what you want? Let's go AI first. Because all right, so AI first, the trade-off we're making is we're using haiku on every request for richer responses, and we're accepting $10 a month at 1K users. That's not each user costing $10 a month. That's $10 a month for 3,000 users, or 3,000 prompts, right? So AI first instead. Upgrade the Vercel CLI before we start. So now this is Claude kind of having like a program architecture question for me. It wants to build it with Vercel, so it will upgrade the Vercel CLI on my machine. I'm okay with it doing that. This is also a question it would ask even if we weren't dangerously skipping permissions. The Vercel CLI plays really well with Claude. So yeah. And Vercel is Next.js. So when we're building a Next.js program, we're hosting with Vercel. Our project just like all the stack of the template farm rhymes with itself. So it everything harmonizes because Next.js and Vercel are they're together. Anyway, so confirm project location here. Yes, use that path. Pixel art styling approach. We have this nes.css library. What is the nes.css library? Oh, that's cool. I like it. Sure, let's go for it. It's open source. Do it. Um,
I have a question for you.
all right, that was my Claude. I have the notified script on. So AI first with Haiku 4.5 on every request. Upgraded, ready to execute. I'll say go. Go. All right. So while that's doing that, we're working on Vercel with this template farm. We all have ideas about how it should work. My chat on Multiverse Campus is not coming up again, so I am going to rejoin. I implore those of you who wish to interact with the class to go to the YouTube and ask your questions there, because for whatever reason, Multiverse Campus is being a big, stinky. All right, cool. All right. Oh, wait, no, my chat is working. Who had the question in the class? Who had the question? Who had the question? Cat. Oh no, and Cat just left. Mic usage. like mic usage for the. Oh yeah, we don't. You can mic up. It's like I want this to be kind of like a free form discussion. Interrupt me, like the issue is that somebody had their speaker on. So
Here,
wonderful.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I have paused the YouTube stream because I think it was coming through my computer every time I tried to talk. So my question was about the pricing, where it was showing users and it equaling this much. Is there any difference between a user and an agent that a user created if you were going to set up agents to do specific things like that would yeah, that's about it. It's not on the screen anymore, but it was, and like it was 5 users, 10 users, 1,000 users.
Yeah, so this is what you're talking about. We'll just grab that as a screenshot.
Neek, I think you're muted.
All right, so that was what you were talking about. Thank you. That's what you're talking about. I'll grab it as a screenshot, and so this little table. So what agents versus API usage, right? We don't want users. We don't ever want to give unknown users of a website access to spinning up an agent, right? That's not what's happening with the API. What's happening with the API is essentially they're opening a prompt and they're getting a response. So this is different from running Claude on your local machine, running it through your terminal. You set up an API account, you fund that API account, and then you use that API key in the program that you build. And it's like whenever you're on a website that has a support bot that has AI in it, or sometimes it's used for image to text, closed captioning. It can be used to extract text from an image. So like a menu or handwriting. But anytime you see that sort of functionality on a website, it's somebody giving access to a like an AI API key. So when we see users, these are assumed users of our application, our template farm that we're building out. And I think the metric that Claude put was 3 project prompts a month, right? So maybe we'd have a free account on our template farm where every user can make 3 prompts a month without being like rate limited by the site, right? And if we had 1,000 users, which would be great, right? If we had 1,000 users, they could make those 3 prompts a month, and if it were using Haiku 4.5, the estimate spend would be $10.50. So we could get away with putting $20 in this Claude API account and running it for 2 months.
So this is more like what you can offer off a website type thing, not what a user would access to do a whole bunch of their own stuff.
Yeah, like it's kind of like we're doing the like baby CTO work, or like CFO work of budgeting before the project build. This is an important thing to do as we look at current like token spend And whenever we're implying the use of AI and we're exposing that to our users, or we're giving them access to an AI tool that we built, we have to budget for user prompts, right?
Job is done.
So this table is kind of Claude's best guess at what running Claude's API on the site would be for 5 users, 10 users, 50 users,
Job is
100
done.
users, 1,000 users, right? And I like getting Claude to do these like benchmarks before committing to building a project with AI spend, because like, sorry,
Explain like, where the question's coming from, and you tell me if that's off topic or not.
nothing's off topic. Everything's on topic. Where's the
So at risk of doing the thing where you tell people your project before your project has a patent, I've been trying to build a program that will list all of the known medical policies in each country, so that somebody trying to do telehealth type work in another country can just look and see what are the barriers that they need to overcome if they were going to try and do that. And so I'm building these agents, but it's like me and Claude going really specific in the weeds
Job
and
is done.
Googling things that are not my wheelhouse. So the search is for the most like highest effort, or even if it's the most expensive, while we're building like the first frameworks for the first agents who are going to go collect all these policies. I have like a really strong desire to go find like the best, like the most effort at the beginning while they're building frameworks. Sorry if that's a little noob speak.
Oh no. That's cool. Yeah, I think that, depending on your use case, this is good. And like the fact that you're already using Claude, this is a conversation that you definitely should have with Claude sooner than later, is what the sort of budget looks like, what the budget concern, what the token spend would be like, how to safely provide AI access to the user, right? Because it's still buzzy to build with AI, right? It still is, and like if you have a solid use case, which it sounds like you do, that is like it's just the important next step is to realize that if users are accessing AI in order to get the output, if AI is part of that system that transforms inputs into outputs for a specific purpose, what does the cost of AI look like? Because we can use AI to build things. We can also use AI to build things that have AI within them, maintaining them and actively. It's like we're like in one situation, we're having the robot help us build some like a product that exists for perpetuity, and we don't have to maintain it unless we choose to do so. In another situation, we're having the robot help us build a robot, and so that's subject to.
Sorry to be interrupt. That's where I am right now, is where I'm having Claude help me build the robot that will instruct the robots who are going to scrape and verify and do all this stuff. And I want to make sure that Claude knows what walls are, so he instructs the agents to know that you don't walk through a wall.
That's like the fun of, that's why we're building this template farm thing, and why we kind of got stuck on this philosophical, like techno-philosophical dilemma, which is like, something I talked about yesterday, these what I'm calling like metacognitive programs, but I don't know what the term for it is. But essentially, like when we're building the template farm, when we're building the thing that helps people build things, it's really easy to get confused by what we're building. And then within that, as we're prompting it, the AI Claude is likely to lose context of whether it's working on a feature within the build that we're making, within the project that we're building, or whether it's working on the project itself or a project within a project. It starts to like this like sort of like fractalized recursive anyways, apologies. To make it easy on you, just choose an API, uh, and benchmark, have Claude run benchmarks for that API. If you're using Claude to build the project, use the Claude API, right? Uh, that's easy mode for what you're trying to do. But yeah, sorry. I love this space of building things that build things, right? But it also, I get myself kind of twisted around within that. So forgive me for learning while I teach. It's something that I am constantly doing, and that in and of itself is another sort of recursive thought loop that we can spend time in. So, what did Claude do? It made these files. We have classic sort of Next.js setup, right? So, it keeps on scrolling up when I click something out of here. So what I'm going to do is grab a screenshot of this and just have that remain on screen. All right, so sorry, the text is kind of confusing. So it built this Next.js program. So we have what the files look like in a Next.js program. We have a source folder, src, and then within that, an app folder. The layout.tsx has all of our kind of pixel information in it. So this is essentially like a boilerplate design logic, so that we're providing the view to the user, and we'll see what that looks like. I bet you it kind of looks weird. Global CSS, green farm tile background. Okay, cool. Page.tsx is our pixel styled landing. Not much to look at here. We got Next.js, which we export a function that then returns the HTML. And then it calls these components within sections. So it's like this kind of like Next.js HTML syntax that we're looking at here. Template form.tsx is our client form and recipe card. So this takes in user input and then provides the recipe back. And then route.ts, which, where is that in API? API generate route.ts. So this is the important part. It's the controller. Yeah, let's play Stardew Valley after this. We should have a we should have a multiverse Stardew Valley server that after we do all this like laborious code, we just could go plant some watermelons or whatever, you know. Yeah, that next week we'll set up the server farm site. Because we could have, we could do Stardew Valley. We could do something some of the best times I've had were playing in a Valheim server with like 20 of my friends. If anyone messes with Valheim, it's like Stardew Valley, but for the early 2000s little brother core. It's like very like PS1 graphics, and you're like a Viking battling giant blue trolls. Anyways, I digress. I was the one that started talking about Valheim, not you. So we're looking at this route.ts. So this is where the Haiku 4.5 AI gateway lives. Let's see if it mentions Haiku anywhere in here. All right, yeah. So it's calling the model. So right here is important because in generating the text, it calls the API and it's forcing the model. So we want Haiku 4.5 because we want that sweet low low price token spend, right? We want that $10.50,000 user 3 prompts. We'll pay $10.50 to keep the platform working at 1,000 users. Jokes on us, because if what we build, if the template farm gets 1,000 users, cool, but like I don't think it will. So anyway, that's my own insecurity coming out. I'm projecting. Output.object with Zod schema. I don't know what Zod schema means. What's Zod schema? Zod. Type script first validation library. You can use to validate data from a simple string. All right, so it's just data manipulation, name, stack, scaffold commands. All right, and then we have the types.as, which is the shared recipe. This is a class or a type. env local example, and then to run it, it wants us to enable AI gateway in the dashboard. All right, so I'll pull up API key for it, and kind of let's see what this process looks like. So terminal. Oh, so we want to go into template farm, Vercel link. Oh, it wants to pull a specific Vercel file, which I haven't set up yet. All right, so it just created a project for it. All right, so I have to make a local env file. So I will just copy this, and then make a .env.local, and then I'm going to put an API key in there. API keys. So I'm going to use a Claude API key. Where do I always, oh, all right. So you got to go to the console in the GUI here. And then go to API keys, create key, we'll call it template farm. Sorry for not showing you this. I don't want the key to be all over. So move that into a new window. Put that there and we'll save. Then pull this back open. PM run dev. And so see right here in Next.js that it's pulling .env.local. So hopefully it's taking the right API key now that I put in off screen. And it's ready. And so you can control click the links here and it should open. And oh wow, this is cute. What are you trying to build? What are we trying to build? Can we test it out? What are we trying to build? What are dummy values? I just make up numbers and put them in? Yes. Yeah, so somebody was asking about the environment variables for resource. And I'm doing classes 90 minutes now because it's just an hour has been way too short to get things going. But put dummy values in for resource. Bonus points to somebody who just figures out how to sanitize how to sanitize the database so that when people spin it up locally, our open source developers, they don't have to access the Supabase at all, right? There's a ton of ways that we could approach this. You could have Claude help you do it. We're on to another project this week, so I would love.
What does sanitize the database mean?
Just like sanitizing a database using not user data, using
Okay.
like users store data in this site that we build. They have usernames, they like things, they can comment on things. So a sanitized database would be all the data that makes up the site, the content for the resources, but the users themselves would be dummy data, right? So user 1, user 2, kind of test comments, enough data that you can get an idea of the function of the site, but not real user data, not live user data, because there are users on resource now. There are users that are not us. So it's important to keep that in mind. If you want to be a moderator or an admin on resource, let me know. I think I elevated one of you to admin so far. So I don't know what that role even comes with because I haven't dug deep enough into the actual code of resource. But that's the working project that we have from last week. So, all right. So, wow. All right. Template farm. What do we want to build? We want to test this out. This is fun.
Local LLM.
A local LLM. All right. Plant seed. Server error 500. Fun. All right. So my hunch is that it's not pulling the env local correctly. I get a server error 500 upon planting my seed. So my hunch is that it's not pulling the API key correctly from .env.local. And then, if I want to be a good developer, I can Control-Shift-I into this and copy this error, and then sometimes it'll ask for more explicit errors. So Control-Shift-I pops open the inspector, right? And so we have errors that run in the console when we run our program. We have errors that show up in the browser console when we run our program. So there's multiple places to look for debug error logs. So is this supposed to make a template for like anything? Yeah. Anything, right? Tend the soil, share the harvest. What that means, but all right, so
Job is done.
restart npm run dev, paste the error message that appears in the browser response. This will tell us exactly what's wrong. So Claude basically did some more robust error logging for me. So I'm not expecting it to work now, but I am expecting it to have better error logging. So we'll open up template farm again. Cool. Local LLM. Another server error. And so we're going to pull this. We're going to pull the error from our terminal, not from the browser console, because that seems more informative. So we'll paste that there, and then we'll also paste the error log here. Hopefully Claude will figure this out.
Job is done.
The actual look in the dev server terminal for the line that starts with a few lines above the stack trace. Unauthentic request to AI gateway. Can you check .env.local and just make sure that the syntax is right there? All right, so something I'm doing that is bad right now. Bad vibe coding. Bad Neek, right? I just asked Claude to look at .env.local and make changes to it. So now Claude knows the API key, right? So
Job is done.
all right, that's the problem. You pasted an Anthropic API, but AI needs a Vercel AI gateway key. Oh, it's using Vercel AI, not Anthropic AI. Let's use Anthropic directly. Do the benchmarks that you did earlier, are those for Anthropic AI or are those for Vercel AI? I'm confused now. Yeah. Oh my gosh. You guys in the chat are cracking me up. All right. So, turns out the benchmarks are the same. It was using Vercel's
Job is done.
API for AI. So, we'll have to run it back. npm run dev. So the commands I'm using, I'm clearing the screen just by typing clear in the terminal, and then npm run dev. It's a next.js application that runs the development server, and it gives us the link back, and it pulls from our environment variables the right credentials, and so we can open it here. It's going to take a little bit to load. And once it's here, we should be able to get a recipe, a local LLM. It's taking time to grow. All right, so this is great. This is perfect. Mwah. Love it. Okay, local LLM with Ollama. Stack, Ollama, Python, Fast API, Transformers. Ollama makes
Job is
running
done.
local LLMs simple with pre-built blah, blah, blah. Scaffold. Install Ollama from, gives you the link. Create project directory. Pip install Fast API, build and run. Simple. Are we happy with that recipe? Not really. Not really. Leaves a lot to the imagination. Is our user happy with that recipe? Maybe. You know, it gives them the right link. They just got a free prompt, right? Yeah. So, do we have like the farm application? No. It just made the simple input output. But that's all we need to do on a Tuesday, right? We just started this project. We're going to be building it tomorrow. We're going to be deploying it on Thursday. Do I like the look of the website? Yes. I freaking love it. I think it's cute. Yeah, Ollama. I think that's a good spot to put this aside for today. So what I am going to do is I am going to set up the GitHub for this project. And how we set up a GitHub, new repository, right? We're going to call this template farm. A description of the project was... God, now I feel like we're different than what. Tool that sets up project templates for users. God, that's too vague. Anyone have a better description? Oh,
No.
anyone? No. All right, visibility is going to be public. We're not going to add a README. We're not going to add a git ignore. By default, we'll have Claude write the git ignore for us. We'll create this repository. We'll grab this right here, this link. And so then from here, so the API key was just on the screen for a second, so we're going to delete that API key. So we'll clear. So we want to initialize this thing. We want to git add. Actually, we're getting a knitting, and then let's can you make me a standard git ignore file as well as a README that walks users through compiling the template farm on their machines and setting up their own Anthropic API key. Spoiler warning, that's your homework for today. If you want to oops, spoiler warning went in there. your homework for today, if you want to, if you want to keep working on the template farm, no need to if you don't want to. Setting up your own Anthropic API key. How do you do it? I could walk you through doing it in class, but troubleshooting all this stuff, getting, having to delete the API keys that I'm accidentally doxing on the screen. I don't like it, but for the price of, I don't know. I think you could put in a dollar. I don't know what the minimum amount that you put in for a Claude API.
Isn't it $5?
Might be $5. It might be $5. You might be right on that. Yeah. Well, if you have $5, you could do that. I do not right now. I'm broke. And if you're watching this, yeah, I'm broke. I don't know why I have to address the audience and say that. But anyways, we're tending the soil. We're sharing the harvest.
Job is done.
Claude drew us up a git ignore file. What's in the git ignore file? Our envs, our pnps, our yarns, the unnecessary and security risk files that you need in here. .vercel, boilerplate stuff, next-env.dts. These are minified config files that don't need to go onto the internet, that are, when you compile, when you run the npm run devs and all that stuff, it makes those on your machine for you. So we'll clear the screen. We'll git add dot. Now that we got the git ignore, it's not going to add the things that are in the git ignore. We're going to commit. First commit. Woo! And then git remote add origin main. I forget what this is all the time. Git remote add origin.
Job is done.
We don't need the main in there. We'll just, and then git push u origin main. Oh, and sorry, the bottom of my screen is blocked by that, so failed to push some refs. Main doesn't match any. Oh, main doesn't match any. Git push u origin main. Huh. Clyde, what's going on? I'm confused. I'm scared. This class has nearly been 2 hours. I'm sorry. Oh, there's what? It didn't commit?
Job is done.
Oh. Yeah, no, let's. Why am I on master? I don't want to be on master. I want to be on main. We're not using that word anymore to describe the main branch. I don't want a master branch. I want a main branch.
Job is done.
All right. All right. So thanks, Claude. I'll run those. Permission denied. Weird. Why? Why, oh, why is it unable to access? Get status on branch main, nothing to commit. Get push u origin main. I don't have permission to push to my own. Yeah. Ugh. All right, all that.
Job is done.
What about from here? God dang it. I hate that sometimes. So what happened? Um, PowerShell WSL issues. That's a me problem. That's a me problem because I love Linux so much. I'm using it on Windows. Um, should we do that as Windows users? If it works for you, does it work for me? Apparently not. Um, so yeah, if you're still watching, remember to feed your Tamagotchis. Drink some water for your finches. Finches can die. Did you know that? Finches can die if you don't drink water every day. Um, will you need to buy an API key for this? You'll need access to an API for it because the API didn't get pushed to um, the env variables. Um, so how you add that? You would go into env.local and then just add your key in here. So you make an API key through Anthropic, and then you copy it over, and I'm going to delete this API key because I showed it on the screen. But you create a key, name it template farm, and then copy that key over, put it in your put it in here, and then npm run dev, and you'd be good to go. This is env local, so this is what it looks like with the key that we canceled, and you're good to go. I meant the Claude code. How to add that? What do you mean? Claude Code terminal? Setting up Claude Code on your machine. We shared that link earlier today.
Oh, okay. You actually shared the link. Okay, I was kind of.
Ooh, no. Sorry. You sound like you're. This is like giving me flashbacks to playing Halo 3. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to anyone who had to hear that. Um, you can put it in the chat. That was so spicy, dude. Uh, it's okay. I know it's not your fault, but if it is your fault, don't do that again. uh, this is like it sounded literally like you had a voice mod on to make you sound like but we're having connectivity issues on campus today. Um, so with the Claude, to get Claude working in the terminal, this is what you want to do, right? Your quick start, right? So Mac, Linux, you use this curl command. If you don't have curl, you're gonna run sudo apt get curl, right? You should have curl on Mac and Linux, right? Windows, it's an command, or a curl command if you have Windows curl. So here is the quick start guide for that. You can also ask Claude or ask ChatGPT on how to get Claude working in your terminal, right? These are completely valid ways to set up AI. And then the link to the GitHub is right here, and look at that readme. It didn't put the spoiler warning in, which was unnecessary, but Cool. So we got that, and I'll put that in the Matrix chat. Homework for today: getting your API running with this. If you want to, you don't need to spend your money setting up a Claude API to run with a project that we're working on together. This is just a challenge that I think is fundamental to being a developer in the year of 2026. And if you're still watching, go you. This has been a long class. But y'all have been great, and I have been Neek. Code something today. Code anything today, would you? All right. I'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific time. We're going to keep working on this template.